Washington Examiner reports, in Shift, Medicare would pay for sex change operations. For the first time since 1981, when it dubbed sex change operations experimental, Medicare has opened the door to covering transsexual operations, adding to the growing list of operations that would be allowed under Obamacare. Acting on a new request, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services said it is starting a new analysis that could lift the spending ban for sex change operations, with a goal of making a decision 2 days after Christmas, on the eve of Obamacare kicking in on January 1st, 2014. And this is the same kind of system as the government-run healthcare here in Britain, which my tax money now goes towards paying for people to get breast enlargement implants on the NHS, National Health Service. So if you want to get breast implants, if you want to have a sex change operation, then knock yourself out. That's your choice, but don't ask me to pay for it. And, you know, now we've got the story Planned Parenthood arguing for post-birth abortion, Chinese-style infanticide. So I guess eventually the argument will be, you know, include that in Obamacare as well. The horror of government-run healthcare coming to the US January 1st, 2014. And just go and look at the British example. If you want to give yourself chills, of course, you've got the Liverpool Pathway Care Programme, which actually serves to euthanize old people. Another little goodie, another little benefit of government-run healthcare coming to America. We turn now to a disturbing story out of Los Angeles involving a veterans home that's been defunded, and basically these veterans have been kicked out on the street. We turn to our correspondent Millie Weaver with that report.
Over 25,000 Los Angeles will be trekking across the veterans' homeland without even realizing that they're trespassing.
To discuss this issue, I met with Robert Rosebrock, who's heading the Old Veterans Guard
of the Veterans Revolution, and our mission is to save our veterans' land and to bring our homeless veterans home. This is their home. That war ended 38 years ago. Today, 47% of all homeless veterans are from the Vietnam War.
How many veterans are there actually in the veterans home right now, living in the veterans home?
Let me explain. Most of these buildings are empty. They were built 70 years ago. They have a few. I think you ran into some of them over there. They're in rehabilitation, and those are domiciliaries, but the buildings are empty. They're rat infested.
I wanted to find out what the LA Marathon volunteers and VA employees had to say about this issue.
Okay, and I work for the VA, so I can't.
You can't do interviews either?
Well, it's been one of the best things that's happened to me since I left the military back in 1981. I am a Vietnam Era vet.
So you've had fun? Hi.
I'm Sergeant Barth, VA Police. How you doing today?
Good.
Who do you work with?
I'm just a citizen.
You're just a citizen?
Yeah.
Oh, you just out here just filming just for...
Just for the LA Marathon and the veterans.
Oh, okay. So you don't work for any news agency or any press or anything like that?
I'm not wearing a press pass.
Oh, okay.
Miss, can you just stop recording? Thank you. You're recording still?
Yeah. People are
recording,
recording all over the place.
Yes, but you continue to interview veterans and people that are on campus, and it's just not authorized.
But they gave permission.
It's authorized.
So is free speech not authorized? That's what I want to know. Are these grounds open for free speech?
They sure are. There is also federal laws that we have to follow, and that's why I'm trying to find out, because under 38 Code of Federal Regulations,
please stop recording.
If you're using it for any type of commercial purposes, you're going to show this for any type of gain or anything like that, that's where we come into that. That's why I'm just trying to find out. So
I'm a citizen here videotaping this event. There's a lot of citizens here videotaping. He's a citizen and he's videotaping this event. I don't understand why I'm being hassled, because I'm just trying to videotape this event and document life. This is life.
I understand.
Oh,
you know?
absolutely, absolutely. We're just asking you not to interview our volunteers or...
Okay.
You can take video, you can take stills. We just ask that you don't interview anyone without any prior consent of the VA, because our public affairs does need to coordinate any interviews. So
I interviewed some people running the LA Marathon, and none of them had any clue that so many veterans were basically exiled from the veterans home.
This was a bigger issue than I had even realized.
It's basically, we call it, it's the deed of 1888.
On March 3rd, 1888, John P. Jones and Arcadia DeBaker patriotically deeded over 400 acres of pristine West Los Angeles land to be permanently maintained as a national home for veterans.
It states 5 times in the deed to be permanently maintained as a national home for disabled soldiers. There's an act of Congress that preceded that one even before this could be established, and it's incorporated into the deed that refers back to the Congressional Act of 1887, 1 year prior.
Last year, around this time, you were arrested.
That was in 2009, actually.
Oh, it was in 2009.
We had the American flag up here, and they came out and took it down. We had it up here for 66 Sundays, and we hung it in distress, which is totally legal. When a ship is in distress, you hang it on the vessel. We did it here. They came out. I was arrested 6 times, and all 6 of those citations were false, trumped up, dismissed in federal court.
This is the home that the head of the VA is allowed to stay at. It's a giant mansion. She's not a veteran.
Donna Bider has a court order to recuse herself from her position, yet she treasonously remains, and nobody has enforced it.
I have reached out to Secretary Shinseki, Congressman Waxman, who this is in his district, to Senator Feinstein, the U.S. Senator, totally ignored.
One, I'm not a 6th grader. Senator, I've been on this committee for 20 years.
Is it the view of the senior senator from California that Congress should be in the business of specifying particular individuals who are not covered by the Bill of Rights?
Sir, Congress is in the business of making law. The Supreme Court interprets the law. They strike down the law, they strike down the law. And if this is brought up before the court, if it should pass, I'm sure that argument will be made.
That's exactly the point. The senator knows, having attended law school and professes to have some experience in the Constitution, none of these rights are absolute.
Well, it underscores the mental illness of this woman, quite frankly. She should be impeached, thrown out. This is, again, part and parcel. She supports the very wealthy homeowner groups that support her that wants this for a public park, both her and Henry Waxman.
Dianne Feinstein is trying to take the vets' guns from one hand while taking their money from the other.
Well, first of all, she has aided and abetted with the homeowner group to get this land where we're looking right here, which is $1 billion piece of property. If you could build a building like this over here, it's worth $1 billion. There's 16 acres. Local comparables on land like this is 50 to 60 million an acre. There's 16 acres. She arranged, her and Waxman, that this group could get this land right here where veterans from the Civil War once walked and turn it into a public park, rent-free.
They have the veterans kicked out of their veterans' home, out panhandling on the streets, while government wildcatters pump black gold from the veins of the American soldiers.
Is that oil going to the veterans?
Not at all. Thank you for asking. This was a gift. First of all, 2 families. They opened the first veterans home after the Civil War era for disabled homeless veterans. This land was selected. And it's so amazing. There's an oil well on this property. And that to make sure that this would always be funded at least, there's an oil well. The royalties don't go to the VA, they go to the Department of Interior.
So who's getting all the oil money?
Well, the last we know of it is Brightburn Energy, who holds the lease on it, and then the Department of Interior gets the royalties, not the VA. The list goes on of people who have leases in here, privileged leases to supposedly offset the expense of running the VA.
How would you feel if you were temporarily kicked out of your home so that the government could remodel it? Meanwhile, they're having a marathon in your backyard and you're kicked out on the streets homeless.
All the veterans out there running. Welcome to America. We're so proud of you guys for serving. You guys are awesome.
None of the funds that are actually going towards helping veterans are really even going towards helping the veterans.
No. It's like the nonprofits that are out there raising money to help the veterans. They all get big fat salaries and expenses, and at the end they say, "Where's $1.98 for the veterans? You know, we raised tens of millions of dollars, and here's a token for you." In the ACLU lawsuit, they're asking, "Where is the money?" And Henry Waxman was asked this. This is amazing. This is one of the most powerful men in Congress.
We've never been able to get a lot of the details of exactly how much money they got and how that money was used.
Pursue for the record a clarification.
Mr. Chairman, where in the rules is that stated? Could I see a copy of the rules that allow for this said? The rules of the House, Mr. Chairman.
We will furnish you with a copy.
Mr. Chairman, there are multiple members that could yield you time. I would ask that you...
I will have you physically removed from this meeting if you don't stop.
Nor is the concern, but
gentleman's time has expired.
Well, how does
at this time, I would like to.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. You've made a statement where you were not recognized for the time. You cut me out in the middle of a sentence. I'd like to know the substantiation for your.
Your time was up, Mr. Waxman.
Why are you interrupting members and then you take unlimited time for yourself?
I'm responding to your questions, your allegations. I'm the chairman, and I'm telling you right now we're going to recess for 10 minutes.
Do you think the only way to incentivize a country is by offering them more and more carrots? You know, you've got to have some threat.
You're going to have some threat.
President Bush allotted $15 million for steroid education. Where has that money gone?
I don't know. Do you know? Okay, we don't know. So.
He was seated in Congress about 3 months, 4 months before the fall of Saigon, the end of the Vietnam War. Henry was protesting that war, not fighting it, but protesting it. They recently appropriated $20 million to rehab one of those rat-infested buildings of about 55 rooms that will house 65 veterans a year and a half from now. We have 20,000 out here. This is their little tokenism, and if you just do the simple math, it's close to $400,000 a room. You could buy them a home.
Exactly.
It appears that the VA is giving the veterans mixed messages about what it takes to live on the VA's property.
So it's a catch-22 situation that they got with the veterans.
This is, without a doubt, the biggest land fraud scam in American history, and it'll prove to be some of the most atrocious crimes against humanity, and that being our disabled homeless veterans who are forced to live in back alley squalor.
Wow.
While some of the wealthiest people live next door here. And everybody talks about honoring our troops. And we say today's troops are tomorrow's veterans.
We made a vow to them that we go ahead for the rest of our life, we would protect this country. I'm 73 years old. I'm still here protesting for my country.
So what do you think? Do you think all veterans are mentally ill, like Dianne Feinstein states?
I served in the United States Marine Corps. I was not in Vietnam. I joined up after Vietnam was over in 1978.
What do you think about Dianne Feinstein's comment saying that all veterans are mentally ill?
This amendment, Mr. Chairman, would allow members of the armed forces and veterans to obtain and possess the self-defense weapons prohibited by this legislation. We should think long and hard before disarming these heroes, preventing them from protecting their families and their communities.
If I understand this, this adds an exemption of retired military. The problem with expanding this is that, you know, with the advent of PTSD, it's not clear how the seller or transfer of a firearm covered by this bill would verify that an individual was a member or a veteran, and that there was no impairment of that individual.
I think it's a mistake to paint so broadly as to say any active duty military or veterans can't use these kinds of weapons or any other lawful weapons for self-defense. PTSD sufferers are already prohibited by law.
So if she said that, then she is actually unbalanced, and she should not own a firearm, and vets should have firearms rather than gang members.
I'm Millie Weaver, reporting to you from Hollywood, California with Infowars.com.
I'm Darren McBreen, and these are some of the new items that are available now at InfoWarsShop.com.
Alert the public to Obama's blatant abuse of power with the new Obama t-shirt. Obama's Joker face on the front and "Come and Take It" on the back. It's time to publicly call him out for what he is, a tyrant. Defend the Second Amendment with our top seller "Come and Take It" t-shirts. And look at that, women's cut tank tops and t-shirts now available. Nice hat. Plus the "Don't Tread on Me" flag. And now you can become a micro distributor of the InfoWars magazine. Plus, get your own copy delivered right to your door each and every month. And if you're tired, like I am, of you and your family being exposed to polluted drinking water, get the Pro One high-performance water filter. It gets rid of all pathogenic bacteria, cyst, fluoride, heavy metals, and numerous other contaminants. So join the revolution at InfoWarsShop.com.